Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Obviously, earlier today, we got a massive weapon tuning update that seriously shook up the long-range meta. It offered a bunch of different buffs to some Vanguard guns, and today we're going over the new meta weapons after this latest tuning update. Obviously, we're only a week removed from the launch of Season 3, and we already have a major meta shift, so quite a bit to break down today. 20 plus different weapon buffs and nerfs as we go through it all. If you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD, loadouts, news, updates, you name it, you're gonna find it right here. So feel free to subscribe with those notifications turned on. All right, so we are here on our tier list, and let me just say, we're gonna see some shake up here for sure. Like, this meta just got even more competitive, which honestly is a good thing. First and foremost, the Cold War AK here got a nerf to its damage in general. Close range, long range, it's gonna perform worse than before. That said, if you get one headshot in a fight, you can still have the opportunity to get that super fast TTK, that super dominant TTK that it's had for so long. So I think the AK stays as a top meta weapon, especially for like sniper support. It can still be used very competitively, but it's no longer the best gun in the game. It is a top meta option for sure, but there is a new king. There is a new heir to the throne, if you will, which obviously we're going to get to. The AS44 actually got a range buff here and a recoil buff, which to me makes it even better. It's still not like the best again, but this does make it better across the board. I think for close range, it's still going to be insane if you build it out for max fire rate and just go crazy with it. No one stands a chance up close, but with a recoil buff and a range buff, it's going to make it even better for some mid-range fights for sniper support and some even long-range fights as well. If you're going to try and use it there, the recoil is still a bit iffy. For like Rebirth, I feel like it'd be super ideal. Caldera sort of depends on your skill level, but it definitely is better than it was before. A super interesting one, the STG absolutely, in my opinion, makes its way up to top meta, and it actually ended up getting a damage buff and then also a slight range buff. I think with the 760 barrel, they changed, basically just made it better for long range in general. It's not gonna be the fastest killing rifle in the game, but it's low recoil and it's gonna hit harder than it did before. It's super easy to use, so this to me is like now the new M4 of the game. The M4 for so long in Warzone was that go-to ranged gun because it was just easy and it worked. That's the STG now. It's going to be a lot closer to the AK, to the Vargo, to the XM4. Maybe not going to best them in every single fight, but if you're landing more shots with this versus missing more shots with the AK, you're going to have the better practical TTK with the STG. So to me, it definitely is a top meta option now. Rebirth, especially Caldera, it'll still feel a little bit slower because they increased health, but absolutely way better than it was before. Curiously enough, the Itra Burst actually got a damage buff as well. But because of just how this weapon works, it's got some awkward magazine sizes. It's primarily better for close range. I don't think it leaves competitive because there are better close range options in the top meta area. But for what it's worth, if you're an Itra Burst fan out there, it's going to feel a lot more competitive now than before. It was solid before, it just got even better as well. Another surprising one to me, the Bar. I think this also makes the leap up to top meta. It got a range buff, it got a damage buff, and it's already very easy to use. It was already really good for like some sniper support options. It's now better there and over range. So huge changes to the Bar in particular here. I would say the pick rate for this and the STG are probably going to increase quite a bit after this update, just to spice things up even more in the general meta. The Automaton also got a slight buff as well to its damage, and to me, sort of the same story. It was already pretty solid before, and now the fact that it's going to kill a little bit faster than before bumps it up to that extra category. Again, it might not eclipse the XM4 or the Vargo in terms of a overall TTK, a theoretical TTK, but because it's just so easy to use, players have a better chance of landing more shots consistently with a weapon like this that has a laser beam recoil pattern versus something like the C58 or the AK, which is up and like an S motion and a lot more harsh, you could say. The Cooper, I think for a different reason, is making the jump back up to top meta. Primarily again as sniper support. It kind of fell off plus ratio for a bit there. It got some nerfs and there were better sniper support options, but they ended up buffing the Cooper custom barrel, I think it is, whatever the ideal barrel is, its range, but also the general damage. So now for sniper support, it's going to have that better damage drop off and have better damage in general for longer range fights where you might need it with sniper support. So that to me is really a difference maker here. I would still not build the Cooper carbine to compete with the AK at, 90 meters, but for sniper support, this thing I feel like is definitely back up in that top, criteria there for what is the best. Now, the EM2 actually got a damage nerf, which was kind of surprising. I don't think it drops it down to viable, but it's definitely not increasing. Obviously, it stays in competitive for the time being. I don't think it's really an option most players will use. The recoil is awkward, and now it doesn't have as good of damage. It is definitely going to be eclipsed by things like the Grau, the M4, and obviously all the main top meta rifles that are already here. They also ended up buffing the KGM40, and that to me brings it probably into the competitive category. At best, they gave it better range. It's still super easy to use, and so I think for players who are not super great with recoil control, the KGM40 is that gun. It's just so easy at all ranges. 30, 160, it does not matter. It beams. Like, it has no recoil. So while its damage is pretty mediocre, the recoil makes up for it. And again, sort of that same practical TTK. If you're landing more shots consistently with a KG versus a different gun, you might have a better TTK as the end result. And for new players or maybe more inexperienced players, I think the KGM40 is going to be a great choice. The Nikita also got a slight range buff. I don't think it changes at all. It's primarily a sniper support weapon, and it's not super aggressive for a sniper support weapon. There are just better options here, especially in the top meta category alone. The NZ41 also got a range and a damage buff. I don't think that makes it jump up to top meta as of now. The recoil is still really awkward after like 16 shots. Burst firing it or tap firing it could work, but I just feel like there's more ideal options that are more welcoming, more friendly all around. But NZ41 will hit harder than before. The Volk also got a damage buff. This one I think is borderline top meta and competitive. For sniper support, it is especially good. For range, that's where I'm still a little bit iffy. And just in the niche of sniper support, I'd probably take something like the Cooper over that, the AUG over that, the Well gun over that, the Owen gun over that. So I do think there are better options where it thrives, but it's definitely a great choice nonetheless. Now, the XM4 actually got a damage nerf for up close, which is not where the XM4 thrives. The XM4 is the best ranged weapon in the game, in my opinion, right now. Probably up there with the Farah, the Bruin, and probably the AMAX. Those would be my top 4 best ranged weapons in the game right now. We'll probably do a long range meta video at some point later on next week once I can go in and fully test everything. But I think the XM4 right now, between its recoil and its long range damage, is probably your new #1 choice over the AK, which, like I said, is dethroned. I think the XM4 is that new king. And moving into some of the subs, the Armaguerra actually got a damage buff for its long range. For sniper support, doesn't change out of competitive for me. The Thompson, the Tommy gun, basically the same thing, got a better damage after its last drop off, so better for sniper support. Still not really a great choice in my opinion either. The Owen also got the same adjustment. Basically, it's now better for sniper support, better after its last damage drop off. Up close, it's still going to be the same, and it's still probably the best SMG in the game. Sten, same treatment, better damage for sniper support for its last damage drop off. Not something everyone's going to notice in game. It stays where it's at. PPSH, same treatment as well. MP40, same treatment as well. The MP40 does get a little bit better though, because they also helped out the velocity on the short barrel, so that's a huge update there. Type 100, it also got a sniper support buff, which to me makes it one of the better sniper support choices here in my opinion. Then finally the Well gun got the same treatment. So all these Vanguard subs became even better past 10 to 20 meters depending on where their damage drop off is, their last damage drop off is. They're all better there now for primarily sniper support and some of those mid-range fights where you maybe have your sub out and someone comes pushing into an engagement. But no real changes there. They all just got slightly better, but not necessarily in areas where you're constantly using them. But that said, that is the current meta. Some very interesting changes to top meta here. These are all great choices. It's just now more competitive, whether you want really easy recoil guns with decent damage or worse recoil guns with really good damage. Sort of comes down to preference, but I love where the meta is at right now. I think this was a really solid update. That's going to wrap things up for today, though. Obviously, we're going to break down the best loadouts for some of these guns in a future video, so stick it here for that and everything else going on in COD. Make sure you're subscribed with your notifications turned on. And if you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.